Kamala Harris, not a smart human being, but the press have been trying to portray her as a smart human being. When I say she's not a smart human being, I mean that. She's not particularly bright. She's not like the dumbest person you ever met, but she is the middle manager at a major corporation who basically is living out the dream by working in HR until they retire with some sort of pension. That is what Kamala Harris in a normal world would be. She's basically that, except with politics. She's been elevated to every position she ever holds, except for the Senate, through no real performance of her own. And the reality is, even when she ran for the Senate, she was running against another Democrat, Loretta Sanchez. She's certainly elevated to the vice presidency based on her own failures in her first presidential campaign. And any question, she was on 60 Minutes last night. And probably when she did 60 Minutes, she was figuring that she was going to get a friendly interviewer. After all, the legacy media have been carrying around a drool cup for her this entire election. Unfortunately for her, she drew Bill Whitaker. And Bill Whitaker, basically, he was honey badger. He did not give a bleep. So he started asking her, actual questions. And the problem for Kamala Harris is that actual questions are her kryptonite. Questions that actually, seek answers about her policies or about what she wants to do or about her record. It's like kryptonite to Superman. It's incredible how fast she falls apart. She is such a paper tiger of a candidate. So, for example, she was asked by Bill Whitaker about the fact that she has switched pretty much all of her positions. Here was her terrible answer.
Let me tell you what your critics and the columnists say.
Okay.
They say that the reason so many voters don't know you is that you have changed your position on so many things. You were against fracking, now you're for it. You supported looser immigration policies, now you're tightening them up. You were for Medicare for all, now you're not. So many that people don't truly know what you believe or what you stand for. And I know you've heard that.
In the last 4 years, I have been Vice President of the United States. And I have been traveling our country. And I have been listening to folks and seeking what is possible in terms of common ground. I believe in building consensus. We are a diverse people, geographically, regionally, in terms of where we are in our backgrounds. And what the American people do want is that we have leaders who can build consensus, where we can figure out compromise and understand it's not a bad thing, as long as you don't compromise your values, to find common sense solutions. And that has been my approach.
I'm sorry. The number of platitudes in that answer, I think I lost count. Truly. Remember, the question is, people don't know you because you keep switching your positions. And her answer was, I will not explain any of that. I went on a bus one time. I went around America and I built consensus. In what way? In what way? Okay, well, the good news is Bill Whitaker didn't let up on her. So he asked her, for example, about her economic plans. And he pointed out that she has no way of effectuating her economic plans. And her answer to that was more platitudes.
My plan is about saying that when you invest in small businesses, you invest in the middle class, and you strengthen America's economy. Small businesses are part of the backbone of America's economy.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations. And I plan on making that fair.
But we're dealing with the real world here.
But the real world includes...
How are you going to get this through Congress?
When you talk quietly with a lot of folks in Congress, they know exactly what I'm talking about because their constituents know exactly what I'm talking about. Their constituents are those firefighters and teachers and nurses.
She has no answers whatsoever. You can see how flustered she's getting. You mean she's actually being called on how she's going to effectuate these plans? By the way, the lie that the rich don't pay their fair share in America is the biggest lie in American economics. It is such an unbelievable lie. Kamala Harris's economic plan, if you can even call it a plan, is a disaster. Get ready for giant tax hikes, an almost 40% top income tax rate, 7% increase to the corporate tax, and she's even proposed a ridiculous capital gains tax on unrealized gains, which would just destroy the economy. All of that so she can add almost $2 trillion to the current $2 trillion deficit. You might be thinking it's time to make more of your savings tax-sheltered and inflation-sheltered. This is where I trust the good people at Birch Gold Group to help you the way they help me. Birch Gold will assist you in converting an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. The best news, you don't pay a penny out of pocket. Just text the word BEN to 989898. Get a free info kit on gold. There is no obligation, just information on fortifying your savings before the crazy really hits. As the exclusive gold partner of the Daily Wire for the past 8 years, they've got an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of happy customers. You can trust Birch Gold as well. Text BEN to the number 989898 for your free info kit today. That's BEN to the number 989898. Go check them out right now. Text BEN to 989898 to get started with my friends at Birch Gold. Let me explain. The top quintile of income earners in the United States don't pay some of the net taxes. They pay all of the net taxes. By net taxes, I mean amount you pay in versus amount you get out from the government. All. Okay, this notion that people who are I've been in a bunch of different tax brackets in my life. Now, I've moved from paying middle-class tax brackets to paying very, very upper-class tax brackets. And let me explain to you, the amount of money that I sign over to the federal government every year is not my fair share. It is way more than my fair share. The last year I was living in California, between state and federal income tax, I was paying about 50% of everything I earned to the federal and state government. She is so unbelievably full of it on this. It is maddening. But she doesn't have any answers about anything. So, for example, she was asked a question about her immigration policy, and Bill Whitaker's like, I noticed that you let millions of people into the country, and now you're shifting on that. Do you have any regrets? And she then undid her handkerchief and showed her no regrets neck tattoo.
Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem. And solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
What I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem. Okay?
But the numbers did quadruple.
And the numbers today,
watch.
Because of what we have done, we have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half.
But should you
we
have done
cut
that?
the
Should you
flow
have
of
done that?
fentanyl by half. But we need Congress to be able to act to actually fix the problem.
Bill Whitaker almost can't believe the stupidity of the person he's sitting with. You can read it on his face. He's like Jim Halpert in The Office. She's like, I cannot believe this person is actually running for president of the United States. Then she tries to explain about her long history of gun ownership. Hey, let me, as a gun owner, this is not how people who own guns talk about their guns. I'm just going to say I'm skeptical of her gun ownership story.
You recently surprised people when you said that you are a gun owner. And then if someone came into your
That
house...
was not the first time I've
they would get
talked about
shot.
it. That's not the first time I've talked about it.
So what kind of gun do you own, and when and why did you get it?
I have a Glock, and I've had it for quite some time. And I mean, look, Bill, my background is in law enforcement. And so there you go.
Have you ever fired it?
Yes. Of course I have. At a shooting range. Yes, of course I have.
Okay, well, what kind of Glock? What kind of Glock? That's a brand. Usually you get the model, right? Like I have a Smith & Wesson M&P Shield. Like that's that. Yes, I do not believe you, madam. I have doubts. And meanwhile, she also had comments on foreign policy. So the comments were not particularly illuminating because she never has anything of importance to say. Mostly she just says, we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. Well, you've been vice president, I noticed, so you could have dealt with it before, but you're not. Kamala Harris was asked about the fact that the Netanyahu government in Israel has basically been ignoring the Biden White House. And the reason they've been ignoring the Biden White House is because every time they tell the Biden White House what exactly is going on, the Biden White House promptly leaks it to the press. It turns out that Joe Biden is not a pro-Israel president in any serious way. It turns out that he believes that Israel basically exists in order to be his personal plaything so he can sacrifice their interests to the Iranians at every available turn. Here was Kamala Harris's answer to this question.
It seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
Okay, well, that was totally unilluminating. Really appreciate that. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.